So we're gonna start a new chapter. This new chapter is called chapter 14, trigonometry, and we are working in a right triangle. So it's chapter 14, page 163. This is in the Lebanese book, the Puissance book. I said that لأنه 9B also want to take this chapter in the brevet book. In the brevet book, it's chapter 14, page 163. So I will start first. What does it mean, trigonometry? Where are we going to use it? You will feel first that it's weird. What you are doing is a little bit weird. Okay, don't feel lost, guys. لأنه in the end, it's just formulas, and you will feel later that now it's easy. So I'm working in a right triangle. And we know already that in a right triangle, the shorter sides are called legs, and the longest side, the one it's opposite to the 90, is called hypotenuse. Okay, and you know already there is a Pythagorean theorem in the right triangle, but also not just I can use Pythagoras to find missing side, I can use the trigonometric equations to find missing side and missing angles. What are those formulas? We're gonna see. So if I have in the right triangle, I can call, for example, the angles alpha and beta. This notation is like AB, هيدي alphabet, okay, Greek alphabetic, alpha, beta, gamma. So alpha, beta, and the sides are ABC. So I have three formulas: sine, cosine, and tangent. What does it mean, sine, cosine, and tangent? It's a language, and you can see this on the calculator. And sine, how I can find the angle of, or the value of the angle. So for the beginning now, just write the formulas, try to understand the formula. Memorize the formula. With the practice, you will feel that it's really easy, guys. So don't worry. So we write sine, S-E-N, cosine, C-O-S, and tangent, tan. The formula is sine of any angle is opposite over hypotenuse. So sine of the angle alpha, it's the opposite side. And here it's A over the hypotenuse C. Cosine, it's adjacent over hypotenuse. The formula is adjacent side. So which one is the adjacent side of the alpha? أكيد مش C is the hypotenuse, so it's B. This is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And tangent will be opposite over adjacent. What is the opposite side for alpha? It's A. The adjacent is B. So those are the three formulas: sine, cosine, and tangent. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent opposite over adjacent. You will feel that it's weird, but you will see that later it's very easy. It's just some formulas. Let's move now to another trick to memorize the formula. You need to remember this word, SOHCAHTOA. When I say SOHCAHTOA, S يعني sine, O opposite over hypotenuse, Ka يعني cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, TOA tangent opposite over adjacent. This trick will help you to memorize the formula. SOHCAHTOA. We say SOHCAHTOA. So SOHCAHTOA يعني sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine starts with C, adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent opposite over adjacent. The word doesn't have any meaning, SOHCAHTOA, but we memorize it like this. SOHCAHTOA, it means sine opposite over hypotenuse, Ka يعني cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, and TOA tangent opposite over adjacent. We will see all those in the exercise. Just memorize the formulas now. That's it. Now, we have also tangent, it's sine over cosine, and cotangent, cosine over sine. Now, I care about tangent. Why it's sine over cosine? Because if I take sine, yani opposite over hypotenuse, over the cosine, yani adjacent over hypotenuse, will be opposite over adjacent when you simplify hypotenuse and hypotenuse. So I'm going to have sine over cosine, it's opposite over adjacent, yani here tangent. So also tangent, I can take it sometimes sine over cosine. And there is a relation between sine and cosine. He sine square of any of theta plus cosine square theta is equal to 1. What does it mean? I'll show you what does it mean. If I draw a triangle, any triangle, okay, this is, I will call it, it's a right triangle, A, B, C. If I take this angle here and I name this angle theta, okay, so if you take sine theta, if I have, this is A, this is B, and this is C. Okay, I'm proving for you this formula. What Pythagoras tell me? Pythagoras ما بيقول لي مس إنه A squared plus B squared is equal to c squared? Yes or no? Yeah. Now if I divide all by c squared, this one by c squared, and this one by c squared, and this one by c squared, what I will have now? I will have a over c squared plus b over c squared plus 1. Type. What is a over c? A over c. What is the relation between a and c with theta? Isn't opposite? This one isn't opposite. Opposite, and this is not the hypotenuse. So a over c and opposite over the hypotenuse. Which formula is opposite over hypotenuse? It's sine. B over C مش يعني adjacent over hypotenuse. This is adjacent over honey, I'm proving the formula, guys. So this one sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta or sine squared alpha plus cosine squared alpha equals 1 comes from Pythagoras. Now, which formula is opposite over over hypotenuse? It's sine. So this is sine. I can write it like this, sine, but it's squared. Yani sine squared theta. I can put the square next to sine, all of it. Plus, what is adjacent over hypotenuse? Cosine square theta is equal to 1. So this formula comes from Pythagoras. So from where it comes? From Pythagoras. So I have now this formula. Yani in the end, if I want to summarize which formulas I need to know here. I need to know that sine is opposite over adjacent. Let's see it here. 1 minute, guys. I just want to try to move. Now I can move. Okay, so I can summarize all my formulas here. I have sine squared alpha or sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta is equal to 1. Tangent is sine over cosine. I have all the time, since I'm working in a right triangle, sine and cosine between 0 and 1. And I can add also that I have sine of any angle, SOHCAHTOA yani opposite over adjacent. Those are the formulas that I need to know. And cosine opposite over hypotenuse, sorry guys. And cosine, it's adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, so ka يعني adjacent over hypotenuse. All what do we need to memorize now? That sine is equal opposite over adjacent, cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent here sine over cosine, opposite over adjacent. Sine square alpha plus cosine square alpha is equal to 1, or sine square of any angle plus cosine of the same angle is equal to 1. And all the time the value of sine and cosine are between 0 and 1. Those are the main formulas you need to memorize in this lesson. One more information. I told you about it when we were doing the equation of a line. Told you you're going to see it later. If I draw a line, you know this. If I have a line in the system, here I have a line, okay? If m is positive, so this is a line. If I want to find this angle here, what is the measure of this angle? Tangent of this angle is equal to the slope. And if, for example, this line is y equals, let's say, 2x plus 4. So I know that tangent of this angle here, I can name it alpha, is equal to 2, is equal to the slope. How I can find the angle using the calculator, I'll show it to you later when we are doing the online session. Okay, now if the line is decreasing, this one is increasing. If my line is decreasing like here, the acute angle, yani this one, the small one, not the big one. So what will be the measure of this angle here? So tangent alpha of this angle is minus the slope, or minus tangent alpha is equal to the slope. It should be opposite to it, and the slope is negative. Okay, so minus the slope. And if I have here, let's say y is equal minus 3x plus 4, I can say minus tangent alpha is equal to minus 3, or I can say tangent alpha is equal to 3. Okay, so to find the angle, and here I'm gonna have tangent alpha 3. To find the angle, I need to use my calculator. I'll show you later during the online session how we're gonna find the angle. Let's see one more. Still have one more information. That's it. This is my famous table. Those are the known angles, and I need to know what is sine of 30 degrees. Hella, you can find those values from the calculator, but some of you doesn't have a calculator that gives me the value. So how are we gonna find sine of 30, sine of 45? I will give you a trick to know how to find the angles. Hella, tangent, forget about it. Here sine over cosine. I'm gonna do half over this one, okay? So this one, forget about it. بيهمني sine و cosine. How are you gonna do it? Look how you do it. It's easy. There is a trick to memorize it. So I write the angle. I'm working with those particular angles: 30, 45, and 60. I need to memorize what is sine of those angles and what is sine of 30, what is cosine of 30, what is sine of 45. So how I will do it? Look at the trick. It's very easy. You write like this. You write 1, 2, 3. I write here 3, 2, 1. And then I do each one over 2. Over 2. Over 2. Over 2. Over 2. Over 2 over 2. Then you do radical for the numerator. Radical, 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 and radical. And then I have the answer. And the radical one is 1. So sine 30 is half. Sine 45 is radical 2 over 2. Sine 60 is radical 3 over 2. Now cosine 30 is radical 3 over 2. Cosine 45 radical 2 over 2. And cosine 60 is half. Don't worry, guys. When we are doing the exercises, you will feel that it's really easy. That's it. This is all our lesson. Trigonometric function is just formulas. When you're going to do the application in the book, you will feel that it's really easy. So I'm going to try to stop sharing. Yeah.